Have you ever thought about how a runny nose could maybe be like connected to your gallbladder?
Whoa.
Yeah. Sounds kind of crazy, right?
Does sound a little out there.
But that's what we're going to be looking at today.
That's the kind of territory we're going to be diving into today.
Yeah, we're going deep.
With the concept of key reversal.
Okay.
From the Yellow Emperor's classic of internal medicine.
So for people who might not know,
yeah,
key is that vital energy flows through like everything.
Everything.
Including us.
Exactly. And in traditional Chinese medicine or TCM health is a state of balance in that energy flow.
So it's all about keeping things balanced.
Exactly. Think of it like a dance between your organs.
Okay.
Each organ has its own role and energy, and they all influence each other in this like delicate balance.
Like a perfectly choreographed dance.
Yeah. And the Yellow Emperor's classic shows us how that dance can get disrupted.
Uh-oh.
Leading to some pretty surprising consequences.
Okay, so key reversal is basically when the energy flow gets messed up.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it.
Like when the music changes and everyone's stepping on each other's toes?
Exactly like that. And the classic, it's really specific about what happens when that energy, whether it's heat or cold, jumps from one organ to another.
And we're not just talking about like feeling a little off, are we?
No, not at all. This can lead to some pretty serious symptoms.
Okay, I am intrigued.
Good.
So walk me through this. How does TCM view the connection between our organs and energy flow?
Okay, so in TCM, we have the 5 major organs.
Okay.
Heart, lungs, liver, spleen, kidneys.
Got it.
And they each have particular functions and types of energy, for example. The heart is the emperor governing blood flow and spirit.
Yeah.
The lungs are the ministers responsible for taking in qi from the air.
So it's almost like a hierarchy within the body.
Precisely. Each organ has its own role to play.
Cool.
And then there's the 6 bowels, the gallbladder, stomach, small intestine, large intestine, bladder, and something called the triple burner.
Wait, triple burner? What is that?
I know, right?
Yeah.
It sounds like something out of a sci-fi movie.
It really does.
But it's not an actual organ. It's more like a functional energy system that regulates fluids and temperature.
Oh, okay. So not a physical organ, but still very important.
Exactly.
So you have these 5 organs and 6 bowels, each with their own energy and functions, all working together. What happens when things go wrong?
That's when things get really interesting.
Okay, tell me more.
The Yellow Emperor's classic describes how imbalances in one organ can impact another, and this is called key reversal.
Key reversal, got it.
And it can manifest in some really unexpected ways.
Like, give me an example of how this key reversal plays out.
Okay, so one example the text gives is what happens when cold energy from the kidneys transfers to the liver.
Oh.
This can lead to things like abscesses forming and even shortness of breath.
Whoa, so something happening in the kidneys can affect the lungs.
Absolutely. It shows how interconnected everything is.
Wow.
And the classic lays out all sorts of these transfers, each with its own consequences.
So many different ways things can go wrong.
Right. And another one that caught my eye was when cold moves from the lungs down to the kidneys.
Okay.
This is where we get that surging water phenomenon.
Surging water. Okay, you've got my attention now. That sounds both terrifying and kind of poetic.
It does, doesn't it?
What's happening there?
So, according to the Yellow Emperor's classic, this surging water results in a feeling of the abdomen not being firm, almost like it's filled with water sloshing around in the large intestine.
So your insides are like turning into a water balloon.
You could say that.
That's wild.
But beyond just the discomfort, it's a sign of a serious fluid imbalance brought on by that cold energy disrupting the kidneys' function.
Oh, okay.
And it doesn't stop there. The text goes on to detail a bunch of other cold transfers.
Oh, there's more.
Oh, yeah. For example, cold moving from the spleen to the liver can cause muscle contractions and, again, those abscesses.
Okay, so we're seeing how these cold transfers can really mess things up. But what about heat transfers? Are they as bad?
They can be even worse, actually.
Really?
Yeah, and some are way more dangerous. Oh, no.
Like the text is very clear that if heat jumps from the liver to the heart...
Don't leave me hanging. What happens?
Well, according to the Yellow Emperor's classic, it's fatal.
Oh, wow. Okay. I am officially spooked and suddenly very motivated to keep my chi flowing in the right direction.
I think that's a good takeaway.
It really is incredible how these ancient texts connected seemingly random symptoms to specific organ interactions thousands of years ago. But before we get too overwhelmed, let's maybe dive into some more specific examples of these heat-related chi reversals.
Sounds good to me.
Because as fascinating and slightly terrifying as all this is, I definitely want to learn more.
So let's look at some of those heat transfers then.
Okay.
And what the Yellow Emperor's Classic has to say about them. One that I found interesting was what happens when heat transfers from the stomach to the gallbladder.
Ooh. Okay, what kind of chaos can that cause?
Well, the text calls this particular transfer food excess.
Food excess.
Yeah.
That sounds more like my Friday night takeaway order than a serious key imbalance.
Maybe.
Is it just about eating too much? It's a little more than that. Remember, the gallbladder is super important for digestion, especially breaking down fats.
Right.
So when there's extra heat there, it messes that process up.
Yeah.
Food excess isn't just about how much you eat, but how well your gallbladder can handle it because of the energy imbalance.
So even if you're not overeating, this heat can make it feel like you are.
Exactly. It's like your digestive system is stuck in overdrive.
This is why I find TCM so fascinating. It's like this whole other layer to how our bodies work.
I agree.
What other heat transfers does the classic talk about? Any other weird connections?
Oh, there are tons. Like it says, heat moving from the lungs to the kidneys can cause limpness and convulsions.
Limpness and convulsions. I'm going to pass on that one. How does that even happen? How does heat do that?
Well, remember how we talked about each organ having its own job?
Yeah.
The kidneys are responsible for our core energy, and the lungs govern our breath and how qi flows.
Okay.
So when heat from the lungs messes with the kidneys, it basically drains your life force,
Oh.
leading to that limpness and maybe even affecting the muscles, causing convulsions.
Wow, that makes so much sense when you explain it like that. It really shows how these energy imbalances can affect everything.
It really does.
Any other heat transfers that are especially bad?
There's one that's even worse than limpness and convulsions.
Oh, no.
The classic says that heat going from the kidneys to the spleen can cause something described as emptiness, dysentery, and death without treatment.
Okay, that one's definitely terrifying. I'm noticing a pattern, though. It seems like a lot of these key reversals, whether they're hot or cold, they seem to involve the kidneys.
That's a great observation, and it makes sense when you think about what the kidneys do in TCM.
Okay.
They're seen as the root of our vital energy, our pre-heaven essence, governing not only our physical energy, but willpower, even reproductive capabilities.
So like the foundation of the whole system.
Exactly. So when the kidneys are messed up, it can really impact our health.
Yeah, makes sense.
Which is why taking care of your kidneys is so important in TCM.
Okay. This has been a lot. We've talked about cold transfers, heat transfers, and how these disruptions can cause some pretty crazy symptoms. But I think it's good to zoom out for a second. We've been focusing on specific symptoms and organs. But what is this concept of qi reversal? Tell us about how our bodies work as a whole.
That's a really good question. And I think the biggest takeaway is that qi reversal shows how interconnected everything is.
It's not just one organ out of whack. It's about the whole energy flow being messed up.
Exactly. And that can have so many consequences.
So even things that seem totally unrelated, like a runny nose and digestive problems, could actually be connected to a deeper qi imbalance.
Exactly. In Western medicine, you might treat each thing separately.
Right.
But in TCM, we look for the root cause, the underlying energy imbalance that's causing all those seemingly random symptoms.
Like that runny nose we talked about before.
Yeah.
In TCM, that could be a sign of heat in the gallbladder.
Right. So it's not just about treating the nose. It's about fixing that imbalance in the gallbladder.
This is what blows my mind about these deep dives.
Yeah.
It really changes how you see things.
I know what you mean.
It makes you realize that even those little annoying symptoms you usually ignore could be signs of something bigger going on.
Absolutely. And paying attention to those signs can be really important for staying healthy.
This has been so helpful, but I feel like we've just scratched the surface.
Me too.
Before we finish up, I'd love to hear your thoughts on the bigger picture of qi reversal. What can this ancient concept teach us about health today? So we talked about how qi can get all reversed and what happens when heat or cold jumps between organs, but what does all this mean for us today? Is this ancient stuff still relevant?
That's a great question. And honestly, I think the answer is yes.
Really?
The language in the Yellow Emperor's Classic might sound old-fashioned,
Yeah.
but the ideas are surprisingly relevant to how we think about health today.
I guess we're still dealing with imbalances even now.
Exactly.
Stress, bad food, not enough sleep.
Right. All those things can mess up our energy flow.
Even if we don't call it qi.
Exactly. Like, think about chronic stress.
Okay.
In TCM, we'd say that really drains the kidney's energy.
And we know how important the kidneys are.
Right. So that chronic stress could show up as lower back pain, fatigue, maybe anxiety, insomnia, all things we see a lot these days.
So it's like all these separate symptoms are actually connected to this one energy imbalance.
Exactly. It all makes sense when you look at it through that lens.
That's pretty cool.
It gives us a way to understand those connections and treat the root cause instead of just chasing symptoms.
I'm starting to see how knowing about chi reversal could be really helpful.
Yeah.
Like if we can see those early signs of things being out of balance, maybe we can stop bigger problems from happening.
That's the goal.
And the Yellow Emperor's Classic talks about how to do that.
It does. It's all about living in harmony with nature, building good habits, and paying attention to what your body is telling you.
So it's not just about avoiding chi reversal. It's about living in a way that keeps your energy balanced in the first place.
Exactly. It's about preventative care, nourishing your chi, and staying strong when things get tough.
I love that it's so much more holistic
It is.
than just waiting for something to break down and then trying to fix it.
And it's super relevant today. We live in a world that's constantly pushing us out of balance. Information, overload, deadlines, pollution. It all takes a toll.
It's true. We're surrounded by stuff that can mess with our chi. But if we can use these old ideas of balance and harmony, maybe we can handle those challenges better.
Absolutely. And it all starts with awareness, paying attention to how you're feeling both physically and emotionally, and noticing those first signs that something's off.
Like what kinds of signs?
Do you feel anxious, irritable, tired? Are you having digestive issues, skin problems, headaches? Those could all be signs that your chi is out of whack.
So instead of ignoring those things, we should see them as messages from our bodies.
Exactly. They're trying to tell you something.
That's a cool way to look at it.
And then you can think about what might be causing the imbalance. Are you working too hard? Are you taking care of yourself? Are you eating foods that drain your energy instead of giving you more?
So we can actually make choices that help us feel better.
Exactly. You become an active participant in your own health.
I like that.
It's empowering. It means you're not just passively receiving healthcare, you're taking charge of your own well-being.
This is inspiring. I'm going to start paying more attention to those little signs my body's giving me. And who knows, maybe I'll even try some of those chi practices.
I think you should. There's so much to explore. Acupuncture, Tai Chi, Qigong, herbal medicine, all designed to keep your chi flowing and restore balance.
This deep dive has really opened my eyes, even though the Yellow Emperor's Classic is thousands of years old. It still has wisdom for us today. It reminds us that our bodies are incredibly complex and connected, and that real health comes from understanding and supporting those connections.
I couldn't have said it better myself. It's about recognizing that we're not just a bunch of separate parts, but one big interconnected system. And when we honor that, we can tap into our body's natural ability to heal and thrive.
Well said. I think it's time to wrap up this fascinating journey into the world of chi reversal. A huge thank you to our expert for all the insights and for helping us understand this ancient wisdom.
It was my pleasure. I'm always happy to share the power of TCM with more people.
And to our listeners, thank you for joining us on this deep dive. We hope you learned something new and are excited to explore the connections in your own body and the power of chi. Until next time, stay curious and keep diving deep.